Welcome everybody to a look at the 16th and final film in the Shawscope Volume 4 box set from our video. And it is 1983's Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. So this is the only film on this final disc. And it's directed by Alex Chung, who I've not seen anything else from before. And to be honest, he's not done a great deal more in the way of films. Apparently only 6 other efforts. So yeah, this is a mix of science fiction, comedy, action and music. Clocks in at 97 minutes long, stars the likes of James Yi Lau, who was also in Hex vs. Witchcraft, which is my least favourite film in this box set, as well as Cherry Chung Cho-Hung, who has not been in any other films in this box set before, but she was in the action films Wild Search and The Postman Strikes Back. So a second-rate private eye called Eden uses the UFO abduction of Li Tianzhen as his ticket to fame and fortune. So despite this having elements to it that are within the science fiction genre, this is nowhere near focused enough to take advantage of those aspects or its plot premise. This is due to the plot being way more focused on the antics of our private eye and his partner, as they are really not enjoying their job. They feel like they're more like debt collectors and stuff like that. They don't feel like they're in a rewarding position in life, quite frankly. Plus, then you also have the unlucky streak and attempts at romance from Li Tianzhen, who's constantly falling afoul of unlucky people or unlucky events, and is struggling to find love and such and such. So that's where it mainly concentrates its plot on. We also have 2 music videos in this, which quite frankly feel like filler. The comedy element only sometimes works, and the plot is overall too much of a mess to be satisfying. It's just all over the place. It never really settles on one thing or another. That said, it is generally an entertaining mess, because you really don't know where this film's going to go a lot of the times. It does have its funny moments, be they film parodies, as we have film parodies of the likes of The Deer Hunter, Taxi Driver, and more notably Star Wars, as we have a knockoff Darth Vader in this, which isn't the first time one of these films has had that. I can't remember which one it was now, but yeah, we've had a previous film in this box set that has knocked off Star Wars with a knockoff Darth Vader and even a knockoff Yoda. But yeah, this has a quite lengthy lightsaber battle in this. It is a fairly fun scene. It's probably one of the more fun scenes in the film overall, especially since we have a nunchucks that are lightsaber powered, which is really rather quite fun. But yeah, the pacing is also on point. There is a decent car crash scene. The cast is good. The production is overall solid. The score is decent, and despite being a messy effort, it was a mostly engaging one regardless. But yeah, I can certainly see why there's very little in the way of science fiction when it comes to Shaw Brothers films, because yeah, this is not as good as previous efforts in this box set, like Seeding of a Ghost or Portrait in Crystal, which we only recently reviewed. So yeah, it gets a 3 out of 5. Not my least favourite film in this box set by any stretch of the imagination, but yeah, I was hoping for a lot better, quite frankly. But nonetheless, it has had a brand new 2K restoration from the original negative, as well as newly restored Cantonese and Mandarin mono audio. In terms of the audio, by the way, there's 1 minute less of footage in the Cantonese only audio part. In the Mandarin audio, it is that little bit longer, but you can also opt to have it purely as Cantonese, and then it switches to Mandarin for that extra minute that is missing. Apparently, there was a reference to the current leader of China at the time, and that's why it got cut for whatever reason. So yeah, you can choose 3 different options there. You've also got newly translated English subtitles, a newly filmed interview with the director himself, newly filmed appreciation of Chung's early career by film critic and historian Tony Raines, and then a theatrical trailer as well. And the artwork is done by Elan Sheedy. I don't believe I've actually mentioned the artworks from other people before, so I do apologise for omitting that. But yeah, still, I really like the artwork, but it's kind of selling a film that it really isn't all that much of, to be honest. It is this kind of mess of a film. You know, you have him even being briefly a Shaw Brothers superhero, and there is a car crash involving several cars, and there is some alien stuff as well. But like I said, it's far too much focused on the antics of these private detectives and this unlucky woman to really be all that satisfying. So yeah, like I said, 3 out of 5. Not my least favorite of the box set, but hardly the best either. And to be honest, this box set has overall been a little bit of a disappointment in comparison to the previous one, which is still my favourite of the Shawscope box sets. And that's because of the ratings that I've given them. So obviously this has had a 3 out of 5, which isn't the worst, but it's hardly the best. So we started off with Super Inframan, which got 3.5 out of 5. And then Oily Maniac quickly followed with the same score. So yeah, both are really rather solid start to this box set, but having already seen them, I wasn't getting in for much that I hadn't already not known about. And even though the transfers were better, that's only going to go so far in terms of enjoying a film again. But the first film that I hadn't seen was A Battle Wizard, and that was actually really rather great at 4 out of 5. But unfortunately, the quality slipped quite quickly, with Black Magic getting 2.5 out of 5 and Black Magic 2 being marginally better, but still only a 3 out of 5. So we're still well below the the previous three films before those two. Hex picked it up a little bit with 3.5 out of 5, but to be honest, considering the ending to that film, I was more than easily readily available to give it a 3 out of 5. But because I enjoyed most of the film, I ended up going on the side of that score. But again, the film quality dropped quite heavily, with Bewitched only getting 2.5 out of 5, and then Hex versus Witchcraft being the low point of this box set at 2 out of 5. Marginally picked up with Hex after Hex, 3 out of 5, but considering we've got 6 films between Black Magic and Hex after Hex, and only one of those films has gotten rated more than 3 out of 5. Yeah, that's not a really good run of films at all, to be honest. It was quite painful for a lot of those. And yes, 3 out of 5 is just above average, but it's hardly a recommendation score that on that basis. Luckily, we picked up quite quickly with Bat Without Wings getting 4 out of 5 and Bloody Parrot getting 4.5 out of 5, which is yeah, easily my favourite film in this set overall. And yeah, it's the only one in this entire set where both films on the disc I'd highly recommend. So yeah, that's the best disc of the lot, which is disc number 6. And yeah, they're the two best films in this box set as far as I'm concerned. Fortunately though, the quality did hold for the most part with the next disc, with the Fake Ghost Statues and Demon of the Loop both getting 4 out of 5. And then Seeding of a Ghost and Portrait in Crystal were the next and final discs to have 2 films on it, getting 3.5 out of 5 and 4 out of 5 respectively. So for the most part, the quality did hold between Bat Without Wings and Portrait in Crystal. But then this final film, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, has ended the box set on a bit of a lower side of things at 3 out of 5. So yeah, I'd say the box set is probably joint second best out of the 4 Shawscope volume box sets that we've had so far. I haven't gone through the entirety of Shawscope Volume 2 yet. For some reason, I've missed out 4 or 5 of the films in that set. But on the whole, that box set has been a relative disappointment. Does rank alongside the first box set, though, which I think this is perhaps just as good as. But yeah, the third box set is still my favourite of the 4 by a wide margin, because I only think I gave one film out of all of those 3 out of 5. And even then 3 out of 5 is still better than the low point of this box set. So yeah, and that's principally because of the following films. So yeah, we started off great with the One-Armed Swordsman. Then we had Return of the One-Armed Swordsman. Both of those got 4.5 out of 5. Then the new One-Armed Swordsman did drop a little bit, but it still got 4 out of 5. Then the Lady Hermit got another 4.5 out of 5. So even just on by the third disc, we've already got what, three films, 4.5 out of 5, and one 4 out of 5. Unfortunately, Intimate Confessions of a Chinese Courtesan was not particularly great as far as I was concerned, and that was a 3.5 out of 5. But then we quickly picked up with the 14 Amazons, which was 4.5 out of 5. The Magic Blade, 4.5 out of 5. Clans of Intrigue, 4 out of 5. Jade Tiger, I believe, gave 4 out of 5, but then the Sentimental Swordsman was 4.5 out of 5. Then we had the best disc of the lot with the Avenging Eagle and Killer Constable, both getting 4.5 out of 5. Then the low point was Buddha's Palm, which I gave 3 out of 5, but quickly picked up with Bastard Swordsman, which got 4 out of 5. And yeah, that's all of the films. So yeah, that's why Shawscope Volume 3 is my favourite of the lot, because there's just so many good films in that one that it's hard to ignore. And yes, like I said, there's a 3 out of 5 film there and one 3.5 out of 5, but quite frankly, only 2 films being below 4 stars is a remarkable run of films overall. And yeah, much better than this Volume 4 box set. But I'm still overall pleased to get this box set, because like I said, a few films in there that I've seen already that I would have wanted in a higher quality, being Oily Maniac, Super Infoman, and I think they were the only two actually. Yeah, they were the Portrait in Crystal. Wanted them in the higher quality that this box set was offering with the new 2K restorations. But it is a little bit annoying that when it comes to Portrait in Crystal, because it is sharing a film with on the same disc, that you can't get these same extras that you got with that film on the imprint release. So yeah, that's a little bit annoying, and it's what I said in that film's review is that the major restriction with this release is the fact that films are sharing discs for the most part, and that limits the amount of extras you can actually give them. But yeah, on the whole, to get those free films in a higher quality was always a great thing. And then, you know, Battle Wizard, Bat Without Wings, Bloody Parrot, Fake Ghost Catchers, Demon of the Loot, and Portrait and Seeding of a Ghost, sorry, um, are all fairly solid films. So yeah, not the best run of films we've ever had. Like I said, those 6 films from Blackmagic to Hex After Hex were a real disappointment on the whole. But luckily, beforehand and after those films were solid enough to make up for them for the most part. To, like I said, be joint second out of 4 in this run of box set so far. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what. Hopefully, there is a 5th box set that comes out this year. Um, if not, then hopefully next year. But still, I'd like to see what else our video can dig out of the Shaw Brother vaults, because there obviously are hundreds of films that they can pick from. And yeah, hopefully the next box set does pick up a bit more from this one. But nonetheless, if you have seen Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. I'd also like to hear your thoughts on this box set overall, if you have picked it up, because I know some people have been really rather disappointed with this. In all honesty, I have in certain regards, but for the most part, there are still several great films in here that are well worth your time. So yeah, but nonetheless, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.